The sponsor challenge waited on the central table like a loaded weapon. Aurora stood over it with Ellie on one side, Plum on the other, and Pines behind them with his arms folded in the exact posture of a man who already disliked whatever the screen was about to say. The notification pulsed gold. Private bidder challenge available. Challenge title: King of the Hill. Aurora glanced at the others. That sounds simple. Pines grunted. That is usually how they trick you. The message expanded. Faction Sparkle Doom has been selected for private sponsor review. Location: Arena 13 Southern Combat District. Time: midday tomorrow. Objective: hold Central Hill against waves of 3 contestants. Elimination condition: death. Challenge ends when timer expires. Reward package: high-tier technology, faction funding, sponsor visibility. Timer: undisclosed until acceptance. Aurora stared at the last line. Plum leaned closer. That's the twist. Ellie nodded slowly. They don't tell us how long it lasts. And Pines moved around the table and studied the message. Could be 10 minutes? Aurora looked at him. Could be 4 hours. Could be 12. Plum made a face. That feels rude. It is a private bidder challenge, Pines said. Rude is usually the entry fee. Aurora folded her arms. So what do you think? Pines did not answer straight away. That worried her more than if he had said no. Finally, he said, pros. You win, you get money, gear, sponsor attention, and a reputation. Your faction stops being a funny name on a screen and becomes a real threat. Ellie nodded. And cons? Pines looked at each of them. You lose, you die. The room went quiet. Aurora swallowed. Pines continued. You are not fighting drones, not training partners, not academy instructors. Contestants will come in trying to kill you because that is the condition. Waves of 3 means you'll be outnumbered if your formation breaks. No timer means you might burn out before the final wave. Private bidder challenges often hide secondary objectives. Plum frowned. Should we do it? Pines leaned back against the table. That depends. Aurora raised an eyebrow. On? Whether you're nervous. Aurora almost laughed. We are obviously nervous. Good, Pines said. Nervous means your brain is still working. Ellie looked at the glowing challenge. If we say no? Nothing happens, Pines said. You keep training, wait for another chance. There is no shame in refusing a challenge designed to make a spectacle out of you. Plum stared at the screen. But if we say yes? Pines's expression hardened. Then you commit, all 3 of you. No second thoughts once the gates close. Aurora looked at Ellie. Ellie looked at Plum. Plum looked back at Aurora. No one spoke for a long moment. Then Aurora placed her hand over the accept command. Together? Ellie placed her hand beside Aurora's. Together. Plum added hers. Together. They pressed accept. The screen flashed. Challenge accepted. Timer revealed 1 hour. Plum blinked. Oh, Aurora frowned. 1 hour? Ellie exhaled slowly. That's not as bad as I thought. Pines did not relax. The screen flickered again. A new message appeared. Private bidder bonus active. Initial bounty placed on faction Sparkle Doom. 100,000,000 credits. Aurora's stomach dropped. Pines muttered something under his breath that sounded old and extremely rude. The message continued. Bounty doubles after each enemy wave eliminated. Bounty paid to any faction that defeats Sparkle Doom before timer expires. Public viewing enabled. Contestant sign-up open until challenge begins. Plum stared. So, Ellie finished quietly. The more we win. Aurora looked at the number glowing above their faces. The more we're worth dead. Pine's eyes were cold now. That's the challenge. The next day, Arena 13 was full before midday. It was smaller than Arena 9 but nastier in design. The battlefield was shaped like a broken crater, with a raised central platform surrounded by steep slopes, shattered pillars, old barricades and 3 entry gates positioned around the lower ring. The hill itself was black stone and steel, exposed, hard to hold, easy to surround, perfect for a massacre. Aurora stood at the top with Ellie and Plum while the crowd roared around them. Above the arena, the bounty display glowed. Sparkle Doom Bounty. 100,000,000 credits. Aurora tried not to look at it. She failed. That is a silly amount of money. Plum rolled her shoulders. That is a rude amount of money. Ellie checked the charge on her weapon. That is a murder-flavored amount of money. From the stands, Pines watched with both hands resting on the railing. He hated this. Aurora could tell. Nearby, Kale Silvaris sat among the contestant viewing section, expression calm but eyes focused. A few rows above him, Darius Voss watched with his arms folded. Not participating, watching, studying. The horn sounded. First wave entering. Gate 1 opened. 3 contestants stepped onto the arena floor. The first was a massive woman with bronze armor and a hammer almost as tall as Plum. The second carried twin pistols and wore a visor that glowed red over one eye. The third was thin, fast-looking, and held a curved blade in each hand. Aurora inhaled. Formation. Ellie moved left. Plum moved right. Aurora stayed center. The wave charged. The hammer woman came straight up the slope, trusting size and momentum. Bad choice. Plum met her halfway. Staff against hammer. The first impact cracked through the arena like thunder. Plum slid back half a step, teeth gritted, then twisted her staff beneath the hammerhead and redirected the next swing into the ground. Ellie moved like a knife through smoke. She slipped past the pistol fighter's line of fire, using broken pillars as cover while energy shots chewed chunks out of stone around her. At the perfect moment, she threw one blade low. The pistol fighter jumped. Aurora was already there. She drove forward, shoulder first, smashing him off balance before bringing her blade across his chest. 1. The curved blade fighter came for Aurora's back. Ellie intercepted. Their blades flashed fast enough to blur. Plum roared and slammed the hammer woman's knee from the side. The giant dropped. Aurora finished her with a clean strike beneath the armor seam. 2. Ellie feinted high, spun low, and opened the third contestant from hip to shoulder. 3. The first wave vanished in sparks of red elimination light. The crowd erupted. Bounty doubled. 200,000,000 credits. Aurora breathed once. Okay, Plum grinned. 1 down. Ellie looked towards the gates. Don't celebrate. Wave 2 came smarter. 3 contestants entered slowly, spreading out immediately. 1 carried a shield generator. 1 had a long rifle. 1 wore flexible armor marked with chemical warning stripes. Pines leaned forward. Poison kit, he muttered from the stands. Aurora saw it too late. The chemical fighter fired canisters onto the hill. Yellow gas burst outward. Move! Ellie shouted. They scattered. That broke formation. Exactly what the wave wanted. The rifleman opened fire. Shots cracked across the hill, forcing Aurora behind a pillar. The shield-bearer advanced, protecting the others behind a curved energy wall. Plum coughed once, eyes watering. Ellie dropped to one knee and fired a hook line from her wrist device into the shield-bearer's flank. It latched. Plum saw the move and smiled. Together, they pulled. The shield-bearer stumbled sideways. Aurora burst from cover. She sprinted straight through the thinning gas, slid beneath the rifleman's next shot, and cut through the rifle's barrel before driving her elbow into his throat. 4. The chemical fighter threw another canister. Plum caught it mid-air with her staff and battered it back like a sport ball from hell. It burst at his feet. He staggered out of his own cloud. Ellie ended him. 5. The shield-bearer tried to retreat. Aurora and Plum closed from both sides. The shield flickered under Plum's strike. Then Aurora drove her blade through the opening. 6. Bounty doubled. 400,000,000 credits. The crowd was louder now. Greed had a sound. Aurora could hear it. Wave 3 waited. That was the clever part. The next trio did not rush in immediately. They stood at their gate, watching the girls breathe, watching their positions, letting the bounty climb inside every mind in the arena. The longer Sparkle Doom survived, the more valuable they became. The third wave finally entered. 3 masked contestants in matching grey armor, a real squad. They moved as one. No speeches, no wasted motion. Pine's expression darkened. Professionals. The grey squad advanced in a triangle formation. 1 heavy front, 2 flankers. They targeted Ellie first. Smart, too smart. Ellie was the slicer, the one who created openings. Remove her and the trio's rhythm broke. Aurora saw the flanker vanish behind a shimmer field. Ellie, right! Ellie turned barely in time. A blade sparked across her guard. The second flanker appeared behind Plum. Plum dropped low, letting the strike pass over her head, then swept the attacker's legs. The heavy came up the middle. Aurora met him. He was stronger, much stronger. His first strike nearly knocked her weapon from her hand. His second drove her backward. His third would have broken her guard. Ellie saved her. A thrown knife struck the heavy's shoulder joint. Not deep. Enough. Aurora twisted under his neck strike and carved upward through the armor seam beneath his ribs. 7. Plum slammed her staff into the downed flanker's helmet. 8. Ellie and the final flanker traded strikes so fast the crowd fell into a breathless hush. Then Ellie deliberately let her left guard open. The flanker took the bait. Aurora hurled her blade across the hill. It spun end over end. The flanker turned too late. 9. Bounty doubled. 800. 000. Credits. The number changed the arena. Aurora felt it. The remaining contestants waiting in the entry tunnels were no longer just watching a challenge. They were calculating lives against money. Kale leaned forward in the stands. His expression had changed. Respect now. Real respect. Darius, however, smiled faintly. Wave 4 was ugly. 3 raiders entered laughing. Not disciplined, not noble, hungry. One had a chain blade, one had a flamethrower, one had a shock axe. The flamethrower sprayed first. The hill erupted. Aurora rolled behind broken stone as heat swallowed the air. Plum charged through the edge of the fire with her coat smoking and smashed the flamethrower nozzle upward. Flame blasted into the sky. Ellie came from behind, blade flashing through the fuel line. The tank ruptured. The raider screamed as fire consumed him. 10. The chainblade fighter wrapped his weapon around Plum's staff and yanked. Plum let go. He grinned. Then she punched him in the face so hard he staggered sideways. Aurora finished him with a clean thrust. 11. The shock axe user almost got Ellie. Almost. He caught her blade with the axe head, discharged electricity through the metal and dropped her to one knee. Aurora moved. Too far, too slow. Plum was closer. She threw her staff. It struck the axe user in the side of the head. Ellie, still shaking from the shock, drove her backup knife into his chest. 12. Bounty doubled. 1-600-000 credits. The arena went mad. That number was no longer money. It was insanity. Wave 5 entered after a long delay. Too long. Aurora understood why. They had waited. Let the girls burn energy, let the bounty rise, let the crowd pressure build. Then they came. 3 elegant fighters in white armor with blue capes. A noble faction, clean, beautiful, deadly. Their leader saluted. Aurora almost respected it. Then they attacked. This was the hardest wave. The noble trio fought with precision and patience. They did not chase kills. They drained stamina. They tested reactions. They forced Sparkle Doom to defend. Aurora's arms ached. Ellie's breathing sharpened. Plum bled from a cut across her cheek. The noble leader focused Aurora. He was good. Better than good. He pressed her up the hill, blade striking again and again. Aurora gave ground until her heel hit the central marker, the hill objective, the place they had to hold. She could not move back. The leader saw it. He smiled. Then he lunged. Aurora dropped her weapon. The crowd gasped. The leader's blade passed where her chest had been as she twisted sideways, caught his wrist and used his own momentum to throw him down onto the marker. Plum's staff came down. 13. Ellie took the left noble with a feint so smooth Aurora barely saw it. 14. The final noble fought Plum and Aurora together, holding for nearly 30 seconds before Aurora kicked his knee sideways and Plum finished him with a blow to the sternum. 15. Bounty doubled. 3-200-000 credits. For a moment, nobody entered. The gates remained closed. The crowd chanted, "Sparkle Doom, Sparkle Doom, Sparkle Doom." Aurora stood at the center of the hill, chest heaving, blood on her sleeve, sweat in her eyes. Plum leaned on her staff. Ellie wiped blood from the corner of her mouth.
Then the 6th wave entered. 3 black-armored contestants. No names on the display, no house crests, no faction mark. Their helmets were smooth, their weapons were matte black. Pine stood. Kale's eyes narrowed. Even Darius stopped smiling. The first black-armored fighter fired a gravity pulse. Aurora was thrown backward across the hill. Plum caught her before she tumbled down the slope. The second vanished into distortion. The third launched a barrage of micro-drones that filled the air like metal wasps. Ellie moved instantly. She ran straight through the swarm, cutting drones from the air as sparks burst around her. Plum planted her staff and held the center. Aurora shook off the impact. The distorted fighter appeared behind Ellie. Aurora saw the shimmer. She did not think. She moved. The arena cameras barely caught it. Aurora sprinted across the hill, used a fallen shield plate as a step. launched herself through the collapsing drone swarm and twisted mid-air. The distorted fighter became visible 1 second too late. Aurora drove both feet into his chest, slammed him backward into a broken pillar, caught her falling blade from the air, and struck through the gap beneath his helmet. 16. The crowd detonated. The replay appeared immediately. Aurora's movement slowed across every screen. The leap, the twist, the blade catch, the kill. The commentator screamed over the arena. "Look at that again!" Aurora Reach moved like a silver streak through the drone cloud. The youngest contestant in Eclipse history just delivered the cleanest kill of the 12th so far. The replay froze on Aurora mid-air, blade shining. A title flashed beneath her name. Aurora Reach, the Silver Flash. Aurora saw it from the corner of her eye. Despite everything, despite the blood, despite the exhaustion, she smiled. She kind of liked it. Ellie shouted, "Focus, Silver Flash!" Aurora laughed once. "Don't start." Plum engaged the gravity fighter head-on. He fired another pulse. Plum dug her staff into the ground and held. The force shoved her backward, inch by inch, boots carving lines into the hill. Ellie came from the side. The fighter turned. Too late. Ellie slid under the gravity cannon and cut through its power line. Plum smashed him down. 17. The final black armored fighter tried to retreat. The timer had less than 1 minute left. He did not need to kill them. He just needed to survive long enough to make them chase and break formation. But Sparkle Doom had learned. Aurora stayed center. Ellie moved left. Plum moved right. They boxed him in. No panic, no chasing, no ego. The fighter fired, feinted, ran, reversed, and nearly slipped through the gap. Nearly. Plum blocked the exit. Ellie cut his weapon hand. Aurora stepped in. 18. The horn sounded. Match complete. Sparkle Doom victorious. The arena became sound. Pure sound. Aurora stood frozen as the system updated. Total eliminations: Aurora Reach, 6, Ellie Dawnfall, 6, Plum, 6. Tie order calculation. Aurora Reach, 3rd overall kill ranking. Ellie Dawnfall, 4th, Plum, 5th. Aurora stared, 3rd, not 1st, not 2nd. Kale and Darius still held the top 2 spots, but 3rd. The bounty screen flashed one final time. Final bounty value survived. 3,200,000,000 credits. Reward package released. The crowd chanted again. Sparkle Doom, Sparkle Doom, Sparkle Doom. From the stands, Kale stood and applauded. Darius did not. He only watched Aurora with a colder expression than before. Later, beyond the arena floor, Pines met them at the exit. For once, he had no joke waiting. He looked at Aurora, then Ellie, then Plum. "You did good." Aurora expected to feel proud. She did, but not only proud. Her hands were shaking. Ellie noticed her own blade still stained dark and looked away. Plum's grin had vanished. The high from the arena faded quickly in the corridor. Too quickly. Aurora swallowed. They were real. Pines nodded. "Yes." Plum's voice was quiet. "We killed them." "Yes." Ellie looked down. "They were trying to kill us." Pines stepped closer. "That matters." Aurora looked at him. "But it doesn't make it nothing." Pine's expression softened. "No." The hallway around them felt far away. Pines looked toward the arena where the crowd still screamed their name. "You don't win planets with hugs." None of the girls answered. He continued. "You win them through blood, strategy, survival, and choices you'll remember whether you want to or not." Aurora stared at the floor. Pines lowered his voice. "Kenny won 1 prize. Lord Rain forfeited another. That's why this eclipse is worth 2 worlds worth of power. 2 chances to build something, 2 chances to become untouchable." His eyes moved between them. "But the price is real." The Reaper HQ felt different when they returned. Still beautiful, still safe, still theirs. But quieter. The AI announced the reward package. Funds transferred to faction accounts. High-tier armor upgrades. 3 adaptive combat modules. Medical restoratives, weapon enhancement credits. Sponsor visibility rating increased. None of them celebrated the way they thought they would. They cleaned up first. Blood, sweat, smoke, arena dust. Then they ate. Slowly. Together. Pines told a story about Rex once trying to intimidate a sponsor while wearing a towel because Jax had stolen all his clothes. Plum laughed first, then Ellie, then Aurora. The sound helped, a little. Later, Aurora sat by the window with a warm drink in both hands. Below them, Nero Vega glittered.
Somewhere out there, people were replaying her kill over and over, calling her the Silver Flash, cheering, betting, judging, admiring. Aurora did not know how to feel about that yet. Ellie sat beside her. Plum joined them. No one spoke for a while. Then Plum said, "Sparkle Doom did all right?" Aurora smiled faintly. "Yeah." Ellie leaned her head back. "We did." Across the room, Pines watched them with old eyes, proud, worried, remembering. Eventually he stood. "Get some sleep." Aurora looked over. "Tomorrow?" Pines gave a tired smile. "Tomorrow we start learning from what you survived today." That felt right. One by one they turned in. The tower dimmed around them. The city kept glowing. And inside the old Reaper HQ, beneath the shadow of legends and above the hungry streets of Nero Vega, Sparkle Doom slept for the first time as killers, survivors, and contenders. The 12th Eclipse had finally taken their innocence and given them a name.